Hey, I'm Chris, and thanks for joining us for our series, Help. Now, there's been a few times in my life where I want to learn to do something really cool, but I can't figure it out on my own. Whenever I go skateboarding, it's really fun to learn a new trick, but it's a huge challenge, and I have to ask someone for help. I find someone that knows how to do it, and they can show me to do it. Even with that, it's still really hard. I fall a lot, it takes so many tries, but if I persevere and stick with it, I end up figuring it out, and it's awesome. Well, let's watch today's God story. We're gonna see how God helped David persevere even when it was really hard to do. Let's check it out.
Why is Adam considered the fastest person in the Bible? He came first in the human race. Hey everyone, it's Natasha, and I want to tell you about something that happened a couple months back in my life. So my friend and I were going through a rough patch in our friendship, and we weren't talking as much. We found it really difficult to forgive each other for even the smallest things. Now, it probably would have been easier just to go our separate ways, but we persevered, we prayed to God, but we ended up working everything through, and now we're closer than ever. And that leads me to today's big idea. God helps us to persevere in doing the right thing. We've been learning the story of a guy named David and how he was chosen by Samuel to be the next king of Israel. Even though David was the youngest of all his brothers, God chose him to be the next king because God looks at what is in our hearts. Then we heard of David and his willingness to take on Goliath. And even though everyone had ideas for what David should do or who he should be, he was just who God created him to be. Now remember, David still isn't the king. The king was a man named Saul. Saul had listened to God at first, but then he didn't. In fact, he actually disobeyed God. Saul got to know David because David played the harp to calm Saul down, and then David fought Goliath. So Saul, as promised, allowed David to marry his daughter, and David became best friends with Saul's son, Jonathan. So now David is Saul's son-in-law. He's in the family, but Saul just really didn't like David. David was better than Saul at everything, and Saul grew in dislike for David. In fact, Saul threw a spear at David while David played the harp for Saul. Saul even sent David out to fight with the others in hopes that David would be killed. In 1 Samuel 18 verse 29, we're even told, as long as Saul lived, he remained David's enemy. His enemy? Ouch! But David kept doing well in all the things he attempted, and he became even better liked by everyone else. God was with him, but Saul still hated him. David had the opportunity to kill Saul, but he didn't. David actually treated Saul with great kindness. About this time, Samuel, the judge and prophet, died. All of Israel was sad because of his death. They really liked that guy. After that, Saul began to chase after David again, trying to kill him. David just didn't understand why. David found that Saul and his army were camped out near him, so he decided to go down to Saul's camp in the middle of the night. David went with a guy named Abishai down to Saul's camp. Everyone was sleeping. David saw Saul's spear and water jug. Abishai wanted to kill Saul in his sleep, but David told him not to. David took the spear and water jug with him. Everyone was still sleeping. David and Abishai went to cross the valley to the top of the hill. David called out to Saul's army commander, Abner. David showed Abner that he had Saul's spear and water jug, but did nothing to harm Saul. As David was speaking, Saul heard him. Let's read it from the Bible. Then Saul said, "I have sinned. My son David, come back. Today, you thought my life was very special, so I won't try to harm you again. I've really acted like a foolish person. I've made a huge mistake. Here's your spear," David answered. "Send one of your young men over to get it. The Lord rewards everyone for doing what is right and being faithful. He handed you over to me today, but I wouldn't harm you. You are the Lord's anointed king. Today, I thought your life had great value. In the same way, may the Lord think of my life as having great value. May he save me from all trouble." Then Saul said to David, "May the Lord bless you, David, my son. You will do great things. You will also have great success." So David went on his way, and Saul returned home. This time, Saul kept his word. As the time went on, Saul and the Israelite army were chased down by the Philistines. Sadly, Saul's 3 sons were killed by the Philistine army, and knowing that they were coming after him, Saul took his own life. And I know it sounds like a sad end to this story. That is how the book of 1 Samuel ends. But 2 Samuel brings good news. David would finally be king, but that's a story for another time. Even though Saul had continued to try to kill David, David knew that he wasn't supposed to kill Saul. David had to persevere in doing what he knew was right in God's eyes. Remember in my story from the beginning when my friend and I were having a rough patch? We persevered as well, and we actually made it through, becoming better friends than ever. It can be hard to persevere to do the right thing, and even more so for David. He was actually being hunted down to be killed and had the opportunity to end it by killing Saul. Not once, but twice. And he still did the same thing. And honestly, we need God's help to persevere in doing what is right. And that is why today's big idea is God helps us to persevere in doing the right thing. It's Natasha, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Turn to the person right next to you and answer the following questions.
Before the time runs out.
Question time. Do you think it was difficult for David to persevere in doing the right thing? What do you think was the hardest? Game time. Groundhogs. Can you say the key verse before all the groundhogs drop? Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Say it with me. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outside of a person, but the Lord looks at what is in the heart. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7.
So David chose to do the right thing, and because of that, Saul backed off and didn't try to kill him. But remember, in our own lives, even if we choose to do the right thing, things don't always go super smooth for us. We asked a few friends what they think the right thing to do is for a few different situations. Let's check it out.
What would you do? You're having friends over. You made a mess. What would you do? Clean it up? Leave it? Help your parents clean up? Or do something else?
I know I'm supposed to say I would clean it up, but I actually would leave it. If it's late at night, I normally just go to sleep.
Wait, it depends how big of a mess it is.
If they were really tired and I was not tired at all, then I'll do it.
Quickly gonna help clean up, or else my parents would kill me.
I'm the kind of person that doesn't really like a mess around the house, but sometimes I don't like cleaning up the mess, so.
I would help my mom, and I'd say that my friends can start figuring out what we're going to play, and I'd be there.
You started a chore or an after-school activity, but you don't like it. What would you do? Give up, see it through, or do something else?
So sometimes I want to clean my room, but the next minute I don't want to clean my room, but I just stick to it and do it. I would work through it and just go. Well, if it's just starting, I'd probably finish the first term and then stop.
I would tell my parents first that I didn't enjoy it, and I would tell them that I would work harder to pay it off because I didn't like it. It wasn't worth the money, so I would pay it off.
You see a lonely kid at school. What would you do? Ignore the kid? Play with the kid and dump your friends? Or do something else?
Go up to them and ask if they would like to play with me and my friends.
You look lonely. Would you like to play with me?
Sometimes I'll go and check and see if he wants to play. That's not always my favorite thing to do because I just like playing with my friends.
I would go and ask, do you want to join my game and do you want to play with my friends?
I would ask the kid if she wanted to be my friend.
Have you ever stuck to something even when it was hard?
Oh, homework, riding my bike when I was little.
I just started.
Well, we did cross country, and The teacher made us run 4 laps every day.
Sometimes I would start an activity, I was gonna do a scavenger hunt for my brother and sister. I stuck to that.
How can Jesus help us persevere in doing the right thing?
Well, he can help you focus, and you can always remember that there's going to be someone to help you persevere, that you don't have to do things alone.
I normally pray to him every night when my mom leaves my room.
I would pray and then maybe he would make it easier for me.
I just ask for his help, and then I feel that I have more confidence that I can finish whatever I'm doing.
He could give me a sign to say, Kimora, you should be doing this. There would be a notice somewhere saying, we need someone to help us do this. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I can do that.
He reminds us it will be worth it in the end.
Well, it looks like all of our friends have a really good understanding of what it means to do the right thing. And what stood out to me here is that it's obvious that they know God helps them make those right decisions. So let's get into our small groups now and see what this looks like in our own lives.